with the recent controversy over the purchase of farmland by President Moon for future residential purposes and the suspected speculation of the members of the Korea Land Housing Corporation, (LH), the Agricultural Land Act has come to the spotlight. What exactly is the Agricultural Land Act, and what is it about? What is the Agricultural Land Act? Agricultural land means farmland. In order to develop the agricultural industry in a country, it is important to think about how the agricultural lands can be managed. The Agricultural Act is the law set for effective distribution and uses of such agricultural lands. The Agricultural Land Reform Act. The Agricultural Land Act is developed from the Agricultural Land Reform Act, enacted in 1949. In the past, a small number of people owned most of the land and the majority of the people worked as peasants, people who rented land from another for farming. Even though the peasants worked hard, they were forced to remain relatively poor because they had to pay rent to the landlords. Such a gap in the social structure grew larger through the Japanese colonial era. After the liberation, the Agricultural Land Reform Act was enacted as a solution. The Agricultural Land Reform Act included a clause that restricts the agricultural land that can be owned by households. The principle of land to the tiller. The current Agricultural Land Act obeys the principle of land to the tiller, which states that only the persons who actually work on an agricultural industry can own the land. The principle of land to the tiller is an important principle that is guaranteed by the Constitution of the Republic of Korea. Accordingly, the Agricultural Land Act prohibits the purchase, as well as leasing or exchange of agricultural land by non-farm workers. Exceptional clause. However, as society evolved, new agricultural industries were introduced. Accordingly, the Agricultural Land Act has been modified multiple times to include some exceptional clauses to the principle of land to the tiller. Such exceptions were established to allow realistic and flexible management of the agricultural lands in the rapidly developing industries. Yet, there are cases in which the law is violated because of unfair ownership of agricultural land and speculation by people who do not work in the agricultural industries. From now on, let's pay more attention to how the Agricultural Land Act will be developed and maintained in the future.